Alright guys, welcome back to the Law of Gaming. I am the Law, and today we're going to go over the gear, the collections, the talents, all of these things that we've been putting off. We're going to dive into them and get an explanation of what they are and what you have to do to get them. And at the same time, we'll be talking about that while we are going through the map and picking up all of our Floo Flame locations. And hopefully we can fit it all in because it is a lot of information to go over. So let's get started. So to begin with, we hit start or we go into our map, either way you want to do it. And goodness. All right. So starting from the left to the right, we'll cover gear first. So you'll always be able to see what level you are. We're currently level 10, which is indicated right here next to our name. And then below our name, we'll have the amount of money that we currently have. Call it whatever you want, credits, galleons, whatever. But they never actually reference what the money denomination is called. I might be wrong on that. I'll have to look that up. But regardless, that's the amount of money that you have. Immediately below that, all the way to the left, we have wand handles. We collected one earlier, and this does absolutely nothing for the performance, but it does add a nice little touch. And there are many that you can discover and pick up throughout the game. Next, and a lot of these are going to be repetitive here on the gear, so we'll cover one and just assume that that's correct for all of the others. So we've been over this slightly. Let's see if we can find one where we actually have. All right, so we've got these two different pieces of gear here of our glasses and a mask. And you cannot wear a mask and glasses at the same time. It's one facial feature at a time. You can't do both. Can't double up. And that's because they come with stats. Like this is a legendary mask indicated by the yellowish orangish background here. And the fact that it says legendary in this section when it's highlighted. What we love about this is that, first off, all right, yeah, it's a legendary, which means one, we can upgrade it. Two, this may be a legendary item. I personally don't like the way the mask looks. So while we have it equipped, we can back out, highlight that piece again, and where it says change appearance on the screen that just highlighted there, we hit square or whatever it is on Xbox, X on Xbox, and you can change the appearance of it to anything else that you have collected or bought or whatever without changing the stats of the item that you actually equipped. We're just changing the appearance. So if you want the benefits of that mask that we put on, but you hate the way it looks and you want, I don't know, this, just a regular set of glasses, you can do that. Or if you want those stats and you don't want it to look like anything, you can hit this and that face wear is still there, or whatever item that you use is still there, but it is invisible. So we have the stat bonus without actually having to see it. So I really like that they added that into this game, and as long as we're in here, we're going to go ahead and do that. For these things, like, look, some of the stats that you get on some of these pieces of gear are great, but it just looks terrible, or maybe, you know, it just doesn't match, or, you know, whatever the reason or the cause is, you know, it's all up to you. Now, some pieces of gear that you get won't have any stat bonus. And we'll go over unidentified items here in a minute, briefly. We're actually not far off from being able to cover that. All right, so we'll go ahead and do it now. An unidentified item. You'll pick up these pieces of gear that will say unidentified item. Once we unlock this certain room, we get this machine, and you go up to it, and it identifies whatever this unidentified item is. And it does them all at once. So let's say you have 30 pieces of gear that are all unidentified. As soon as you walk up to it and interact with it, it will identify every piece of gear that is. So it's not that tedious, but it is a little annoying that we can't see what this is ahead of time. As well as what stats it presents to us. So anyways, moving on.
Revelio.
Alright, so 0, 11, and 18, so obviously we'll flip this. Alright, so now, this doesn't look too bad. I personally am not a huge fan of the way scarves look. And I'm really not digging this outfit. How bad is this one? Alright, so we're just going to stick with our original, because I don't feel like I'm pulling off the bow tie very well. So we're going to stick with this for now. And so now we have all these pieces of gear equipped, and only some of them are actually showing. Our stats have gone up a little bit, but that's how gear works. You see your health, you see your defense and your offense, and as you can see, if we were to change a piece of gear that has a current stat to a lesser or higher, it is reflected here in the health, defense, offense area.
Revelio.
Pretty straightforward.
Wow, how much?
Now, as far as these are just indicators. We won't get a flying mount aside from our broom for quite some time, and then this just shows us the upgrades that we have on our broom, which again we won't have for a little while now. Alright, so the next tab over is your inventory tab. As it says here, the first slot is beasts. Now later on, after we go to our Care of Magical Creatures class, we will get an item that lets us go and collect different beasts. So we'll be able to fill all these up, as well as... Alright, so if it's in your inventory, you have it with you at all times. Now you can remove it from your inventory in a place that we're going to get to that I don't really know how to call it. It's like a sanctuary. It's like your own little animal sanctuary that you can release these animals into. And not only can you release them, you can breed them. You can, then you can sell them in Hogsmeade for money, and you can collect feathers or furs off of them in order to upgrade your gear. It becomes a very useful little endeavor, and I just enjoy it. Alright, so our next thing down here are our quest items. These will be very random things that you don't really have to go into very much unless it happens to be... I can't remember if map gets put into quest items or if it gets put into nodes. I want to say it gets put... Sometimes you'll find treasure maps and whatnot, and they may go into your quest items, and you may need to go back into the section to refer to them in order to unlock the puzzle or get any information off of it. Next down is notes. Pretty straightforward. Yeah, throughout the game you'll pick up all these pieces and all these notes and pieces of paper that really are they're just there for entertainment. Like we'll pick up one later on about the headmaster has boils, and stuff. He needs ointment, to make it go away. These are all very entertaining. Then down here you have your resources, which is anything that you need for Merlin trials or to create potions or to grow plants, anything like that, or upgrade items to upgrade your gear. anything like that will be shown here. And that is all for the inventory tab. Next, my favorite is the talents tab, which we now have 6 talents available. We only had 5, and we will get more as the game progresses. But here you can spend these talent points in order to improve your spellcasting and fighting ability. So, for instance, we haven't learned the spell yet, but if we had Defendo, we would be able to use this talent where we're able to slice through impacted enemies to strike additional targets. So essentially, it's more of an area of effect ability instead of a one-on-one ability. Same thing. All right, so we have Incendio. This changes it from our little burst of fire to, as you can see on the screen, it kind of does a little circle around you and causes an area of effect damage instead of just one-on-one. Very, very useful. I love unlocking the talents. It makes us much more formidable. And this one is absolutely fantastic. Much later on, you're able to transfigure your enemies into these barrels. And then on top of that, we get to use our ancient magic to pick that barrel up and then throw it at people. So, and then it explodes. So we get all sorts of damage going on multiple people. It's wonderful. I love it. So all of these have their own, as we talked about in the last one, some of these are spell specific. Others are, they encompass more than one spell. Like this one is one of my favorites. Dealing damage to a cursed target inflicts damage to all, because some of these will actually stack on top of each other. Like for instance, if we had this, if we curse 2 enemies standing in front of us, and then we do Crucio later on one of them, then the other one is affected by that damage as well. And then much later in the game, if you're standing and you've got 6 enemies in front of you and you hit one of them, and they're all cursed, that is the key. They all have to be cursed. You have to hit them all with the curse. Then you can Avada Kedavra one of them, and as you can see on the screen, it bounces around and it kills all of them at one time. It's fantastic. I love it. Now, that key point there where they all have to be cursed, there are... where is it? Is it core? Alright, well, there's a talent in here somewhere. Or these individuals. Maybe it's under spells. Nope, that's not it. Did I pass it up? Alright, so as you can see, so Expelliarmus. If we use this talent, Expelliarmus has the same effect as a curse on enemies. So we take a regular spell and turn it into a curse. So we're not limited to only using these particular spells. We have the ability to upgrade these other spells in turning them into a curse-like spell, so that we can use Expelliarmus on someone, and then later on, within that same fight, still use that Avada Kedavra ability in order to hit multiple ones at the same time. Core, same thing here. Like, we can increase the number of pages for our spells. Like,
Trouble's brewing when I'm without my friends.
if you see here, this one's got, so you know that we have the spell screen that just popped up on the screen. You can go through, and as we've got our 4 at the bottom right down here in this section, you can swap those out very quickly. You can swap all 4 instead of having to go through and just select one and as you need it. I have played the entire game through before without doing this and not found it to be that big of a hassle. It is a minor convenience, I will say, not a huge one. Then of course we have more practical ones, like your health potion, your Wiggenwell potion, is more effective. It heals you more. And ancient magic throw catches and throws. So we are going to actually use this one right now. In the last episode, we talked about actually where Expelliarmus, you can um, rip like a goblin's axe out of their hand, and then we can catch it and hit them with their own axe. And I love it. It's one of my go-to moves. Um, Also, we talked about a while back how if you use Protego correctly, you'll end your shield by shooting a Stupefy spell. Stupefy stuns, and it does 0 damage until you use the talent point to turn Stupefy into a damaging spell. Uh, Now, all right, so we're not able to use this until later in the game, where it says here level 22, but it is eventually possible. Now, what is this other one? All right, this is the other one that we're going to do right now. Swift, whenever we dodge, we actually kind of do this little teleporting thing, which I'm not sure how effective it is. I've used it before. I find it to be more of just fun than anything else. But I'm not saying it's not effective. I'm just saying I've also beat the game without using it. So, teach their own. Basic cast, reduces spell cooldowns, definitely. All right, what else do we have here? So stealth. We talked about how disillusionment you're able to use, but if you get too close to someone, they can hear you or still see you if you get super close to them. And if you've noticed, whenever we're disillusioned, we can only crawl, as opposed to if we use this ability here, this talent, you can kind of do this weird little run. And then later on, that's pretty much the entire stealth thing. It just helps you for sneaking around. And then we have our room of requirement talents, where these are all pretty basic. Because we'll use a room of requirement to brew potions, to plant a lot of plants and such. So it's going to focus on, this type of potion will make you invulnerable, um, and have certain abilities with it. These plants will do this for a certain period of time. So these are just minor upgrades. You will unlock enough or acquire enough talent points to unlock all of these throughout the game. So it's not really a huge deal what order you do them in. I have my preferences. You'll have yours. So that's that. This next one is the big one. Collections. These are like your trophies. You can go through, and there are so many. If you are trying to 100% the game, you will want to reference this very often. Like, what's something we've gotten here? So, because sometimes you're not even going to know what you're what you're trying to collect. So this is an ensemble for the unchallenged duelist, earned by winning all the challenges of the crossed wands. A couple episodes ago, we became dueling champion at Hogwarts, so we unlocked this as an example, and we got all of these. This is just, I don't know, additional content apparently. All right, and as you know, alterations applied to gear through the change appearance option in the gear menu. Appearances in this list are rewards for accomplishments such as challenges and quests. So anything that you collect will show up here. Challenges, another big one here. If you're trying, even if you're not trying to 100% the game, this is still a very important screen, because certain things like our gear, if you're collecting loot, you see how our gear says 16 out of 20? That doesn't just mean this section. That means combined. for every piece of gear here, you could only have 20 pieces. So we're only 4 away from being full and not being able to pick up any other loot without dropping one. So one of our challenges is Merlin trials. If we do so many, I don't think it's under combat, it would be under exploration maybe. All right, yeah. Once you solve the Merlin trials, your inventory expansion reward, and so you increase your storage for gear by doing Merlin trials. But all right, so this says we need to solve 2 in order to do this first set. So let's say we solved 1. Let's say we went and did a second one. We don't automatically expand our gear storage. We have to come back to this screen in order to collect this reward in order to unlock the expanded storage. And so every single challenge that you complete, you have to come back here in order to claim your reward. These are pretty repetitive. Pretty much everything I just said applies to all of these. Regardless of what it is. There are some things that we could collect right now. I guess we'll go ahead and pick those up. Legendary gloves, legendary cape, legendary armor. Now, this is just called legendary. It's not actually a legendary. Well, I'll have to double check on that, but it is not. Let's see. Gloves. Oh, that's another thing. I'm sorry. Okay, so any reward that you get from your challenges that is a gear item, clothing, gloves, cloaks, whatever, you'll come here and you'll be like, oh, what the hell? I don't see it. It is not an actual piece of gear. It doesn't give you stat upgrades. It is an appearance only. So here are the legendary gloves that we just claimed. And so, and what else let's see, change appearance. This is a legendary cape that we just claimed. So that is the major difference. So it is a nice reward because you have to look at yourself throughout this game, but it doesn't affect your gameplay. The reward does not affect your gameplay. Unlocking the reward does, because you get better at the game because you have completed this task. But that's how your challenges work. We'll run through how your map works again real quick. So you have your world map, where you can move your right joystick in order to navigate and look at your entire thing. You see all your Floo flame locations that we will be unlocking as I'm talking right now, actually. But on top of that, they all have, your names. But so if we highlight a village or a town or even Hogwarts itself, you'll see where it says collection chests, field guide pages, demiguise statues, astronomy tables, things such as this. Well, you'll be able to know the progression of, if you're trying to 100% the game or you're trying to look for specific loot, you'll know if this is an area that you need to go back to, and it'll let you know, okay, let's say you've gone here and you found 3 chests. It'll let you know, hey, you still have 1 that you have to find. Also, as we unlock the map and we get, turn these gray areas more green, as you zoom in, you will find certain icons will start to appear. Like, we know that there's a Merlin trial right here. We can see these side quests that are here. We can see that there's a treasure vault right here. And, so we'll be able to go back and, we can see that there's not just a den of magical animals that we can capture right here, but it tells you specifically what type it is, what type of magical creature. Um, so all of these fairly straightforward if you've ever played a video game before, but that's how that works. Quests, we've been over this. So your top tab here, this is every quest that you currently have available to do. Anything that has the yellow icon to the left is, I don't want to say it's a required quest because they're not the only quests that are required. So I don't want you to think other quests are main quests. Is something that's going to directly impact the storyline. Because, like, let's say, this is a quest. We have to go to, we have to do Professor Sharp's assignment. So I don't want to say that those are required and this one isn't, because if we don't do this one, we won't be able to progress later on. But as you can see, this icon here, this is a side quest. These here, we can complete the entire game without ever completing these. We can complete the main story without ever doing these quests right here. So if you see this yellow icon on the left, or I guess this, scroll looking thing, this is a main quest, this is an assignment, and these absolutely have to get done in order to progress in the game. These don't really. These are more for entertainment than anything else. Now, we can limit that, we can filter that on these are your actual main quests. Below that, these are your just assignments. These are your relationship quests. So anyone like Sebastian or that girl that talks a lot, Nat Sayonai, anyone like that, we have a relationship with, and you can see your progression with that here. These are your side quests, and down here will be your completed quests, and you can scroll down and see all of these. So let's say one day you're like, oh, I really want this reward, and you Google it, and you go, oh, I need to complete this quest, and you can't find that quest anywhere. You can come here and see if you have completed it already. Owlpost, we've been over this. Apparently there's one we didn't look at, but pretty straightforward. They usually, whenever you get them, they read them out to you anyway, so not really a big deal. And then of course you have your settings tab where you can restart from your last save, you can save the game, load the game. Let's say you have a different character and you want to go there, you can exit to main menu. Then your display options, performance mode. What is this? I've actually never seen this one before. Well, it seems to be working just fine, so we're not gonna mess with it anyway. But so those are your display options. These are your audio options. Gameplay options. Change your difficulty. You make your controller vibrate or not vibrate. You can. So this is just what every button on your controller does for this game. So let's say, I don't know, I've downloaded it at one point, but I never actually played this on PC with a controller. So maybe if you're trying to map your custom controller, this will tell you what every button should do. Below that, all of these are just, for your convenience. I've never had to change any. The only thing I've ever changed was the camera sensitivity. I did that at the end of the last episode because I didn't like how slow it took the camera to look around. But that's everything that there is in your menu from left to right. Here are the settings, including your map. That's everything that there is to know that is actually pertinent to the game. I don't know that we even went over anything that's not pertinent to the game. Or I don't know that we missed anything whatsoever, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And that'll do it for, what is this? Hogwarts Legacy Part 7. We're up to Part 7 now. 7. So, like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you guys in the next one. Please subscribe. Please comment. Please like. It actually does make a difference.
Okay, that's the location that we can currently.
It really affects my motivation to actually continue making these. So, I really appreciate it if you do. Bye. See you guys in the next one.